Hello friends, welcome to Shauna Stitches. I'm Shauna and this is my crafty podcast where I talk about all the things I've been working on lately. This is episode number 77 and it is September the 15th, 2023 today. Can you even believe it? I am actually recording during the day and I am officially on a more day shift schedule, so hopefully that will be good for making and for my health and personal life and all those other things. Thank you so much for being here to both new and returning viewers. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you in advance for the likes, comments, and subscriptions. I really do appreciate each and every one. All right, let's see. What do we have today? All kinds of things to talk about. The first thing I'm going to mention are my finished objects since the last podcast. And the first one is very, very old. This right here. This is a assigned pooling shawl, and it's called Neptunes Garden, spelled with a T instead of a D. I think that's because it's in the designer might be from a different country. I can't recall. Always forget to mention this, but I'm not too far in today. All the links to where you can find me are down below. That's Instagram, YouTube, Ravelry, all under Shauna Stitches, and links to all my Ravelry project pages, including this one, which will have the designer's name, a link to the pattern. It will take you directly to my specific notes for the pattern, and I'm usually pretty good about putting in notes, yarns, needle sizes, all those things. So this is really fun. If you're not familiar with assigned pooling, what that means is each time you get to a specific color, you do a special stitch. And let's see, let's find a good one. This one's pretty good. So the special stitch in this one, this little thing here, I would do each time I came to the pink. And I don't know that it has a specific name, but it looks kind of like a flower. So this was exactly 2 skeins of yarn, and I used pretty much every little bit. The special thing about this yarn is that I dyed it myself. So that's really fun. You can buy skeins of yarn that are specifically for assigned pooling, and if I recall, it's either on this project page, they talk about dyeing it, or I found it somewhere else. But to dye your own yarn like this, essentially what you want to do is dye about 1/3 of the skein, your special color, and the other 2/3 of the skein, your main color. So for this, I did 2/3 in the green and then 1/3 in the yellow and pink. And so the yellow, I wouldn't change to the special stitch, and it created this kind of cool little design. So my inspiration for this, which I will pop on the screen, was a lily pond, and that's what I have named this shawl. It's the lily pond shawl. And it just reminds me of those beautiful lily flowers in a frog pond and the beautiful pink and yellow that you see on those. So I absolutely love this. I would definitely do another assigned pooling project in the future. This one took me a long time to finish, and that's kind of for personal reasons, but I love how at the edges, do you see that? It created like this little scallop. I think there's several of them like that. Yeah, there's one. It's just so cool. Anyway, I had some kind of not so awesome memories tied into this. Like, obviously I have the wonderful memory of dyeing it and it turning out the way I wanted and getting 2 exact skeins. But I brought this with me as a travel knitting project during a event that didn't end up being as fun as I had hoped it would be. And basically I met a family member I hadn't met in over 20 years, and needless to say, I'm not talking to them anymore. So that's how that went. So I just kind of had to get over the sort of disappointment of that. And now that it is in the completed shawl, I'm feeling a lot better about it. And I really love it. So hopefully that might inspire you to do some assigned pooling. I do have more yarns to use for that I actually purchased. Nothing that was specifically labeled as for assigned pooling, but if you open up a skein of yarn and take a look at it, you can find a lot of them that are already dyed that way. I think I hear Ollie howling in the yard. He seems to really like to find absolutely nothing to bark at and bark. So I need to go find him and get him to be quiet so the neighbors don't complain. Okay, we're back. And by we, I mean now I have a special guest. This is Ollie. He usually likes to sit on my lap, so hopefully he will be calm. Of course, he's looking really innocent right now, isn't he? I would never bark at nothing, no. Alrighty, my next finished object is a big one, and it's so exciting. This right here doesn't even fit in the screen, but this is my finished Attune shawl. This is all my handspun, which I am so pleasantly surprised by. I spun all of this yarn, the gray and the colored, on one single drop spindle. I did the plying, I did the spinning. The gray is a 3-ply, and the colorful yarn is a 2-ply. So I am extremely pleased with how this came out. Again, I cannot even show you how big it is, but I used over 800 grams to spin, and it ended up being over 1,200 yards of yarn. And it's just so pretty. Is it wrong to be impressed by your own spinning? I don't know. I really love it. I haven't even tried tying this around my neck yet. But I'm so happy. It blocked out so much bigger. It was pretty big once I got it off the needles anyway, because by the time I was done, there were 460 some stitches on the needles, and each row was just taking a long, long time. And the weight of the yarn was really hurting my wrists. But I was trying to finish it by today, and surprise, I did, because that's when the spin it to knit it knit along was ending. But if you'll see these garter rows, which the way they did them in here, because it's 2 colors, you had to purl rows also. And had it been all knitting, it wouldn't have been near so bad. All right, so let's try this on. It's just massive, which I love. Gotta love a big shawl. Oh yeah, that's nice. Let's see here. That's going to be wonderful this winter. And because it is all non-superwash, it should be extra warm. Really looking forward to wearing this coming year. And I've said it before, I'm terrible about wearing my shawls, but I think I will have to make the exception for this one because it's really just so spectacular. So I was showing you the right side. This is what the wrong side looks like. They are both beautiful. On the wrong side, you can see with the brioche, it highlights the colorful yarn instead of the technical right side, which highlights the gray. So very, very, very happy with this. Because I spun all my yarn on a drop spindle, it took quite a bit of time, and that left me not as much time for the knitting. I can't tell you how long it actually took me to knit this, but it was fast. For how big this is, I was knitting on this like a mad woman. Trying to fold it so it doesn't have too many creases. Even folded, it's still big. There it is. Very, very, very happy with this. Highly recommend the pattern. You get into a pretty good rhythm with it. I did say it's brioche. I failed to mention what the other side is. Now that I folded it up, the other side here is half fisherman's rib. So the 2 fabrics are similar but different, and I think it makes a really nice, interesting feature. Ollie's laying on my computer. What are you doing, little boy? All right, so those are both of the finished objects that I have since the last podcast. Let's announce the giveaway winner. So if you remember right, I had made these project bags and wanted to share with one of you. So I used a random comment picker and the keyword was yellow. So I filtered the comments with that, and you should be seeing on your screen right now what I'm going to read to you. And I think YouTube, or not YouTube, I guess, but the comment picker picked like the longest comment. So this is going to take me a minute to read. So congratulations, Carol. I'm guessing you say your last name Byrne, Byrne. She says, "Oh my goodness, you are so like me, or I am so like you. LOL. I spin, knit, crochet, and am at present doing the Battenberg blanket by Sandra Hart. And boy, are the squares taking forever. I do a batch and think I must be somewhere near finished, but no. Still have hundreds to do. And have just taken up English paper piecing. Next, I want to do foundation paper piecing. I have also started a machine sewn quilt, which I am really enjoying because it grows so quickly. I did make a few project bags a couple of years ago, but they were really basic. I just bought from Etsy a bag of scraps and they were mostly yellow with lots of bees and ducks on them. Just gorgeous. Well, enough of my ramblings. Have a fabulous birthday." So thank you so much, Carol, and congratulations. I'm very excited to get this to you. I will just need your mailing address. You can send me a message on Ravelry, which again is linked below, or on Instagram. Either way, I will be very happy to get this in the mail to you. All right, let's talk about some works in progress. Let's see, which one do I want to talk about first? Let's talk about my Desert Vista Dyeworks socks, which I have in this fun little camo ghosty bag. I don't normally do project bags to match the seasons, but I cleaned out my craft room and found this, so I thought, why not? So here is my Desert Vista Dyeworks yarn. It's looking very bright on the camera. This is the color HBD Charles Schultz. So happy birthday, Charles Schultz, who is the creator behind the Peanuts. So I was trying to think, I'm guessing these colors are Peanuts themed. I had some guesses on a few of the colors and I'm not so sure on a few of the others. I'm thinking the white is probably Snoopy. The yellow could be Woodstock, the little bird, or it could be Charlie Brown. Not sure. I mean, Charlie Brown has to be in here somewhere, right? The tan, I'm thinking must be like the skin color that you see, because when I pulled up a picture of the Peanuts, it seemed spot on. The pinky purple, is that Charlie Brown's sister? I don't know what her name is. And the others, I don't know. Take your best guess. I'm not sure. But I am enjoying it. I waited until I was done with the Attune shawl to cast these on. So I've only been working on them for a few days. I am almost done with the gusset decreases for the first sock. Usually when I start my heel flap, I will go to the inside of the ball because I pull from the outside of the cake. Stop. Sorry if you can hear a little chewing. Ollie is chewing on his foot. Stop. But this time I was on my treadmill when I got to that point, and I just had already started the heel flap before I remembered it, and I just decided to keep going. So my striped sequence is a little bit screwed up from what it normally would be, and I'm just going with it. I'm trying not to stress because these are just a pair of socks and they will be just as useful inside my shoes with messed up striped sequence as they would be with a unmessed up striped sequence. So that's that. And I think I mentioned last podcast that I was kind of feeling on the fence about whether or not I was going to do the Desert Vista Dyeworks knit along next year. And as of today, I'm thinking the answer is yes, I'm going to participate. I suppose that could change, but I'm definitely thinking I will not be doing the other sort of sock time championship things, Sock Madness and Sock Championship, because I just feel like I have so many whips on the needles and more things that I want to knit, and I feel like the first 6 to 8 months of the year was so focused on that I really didn't get a lot done on anything else. And I would love to knit some gift socks. I remember I said that last year about this year, as so much hasn't happened. And I would also like to finish some works in progress. That being said, I cast on a new project in a very large bag. This is by Molly Klein Design, and this is where I got my inspiration to make my large project bags, because I saw this. I think she posted it on Instagram first, and I don't know, I just fell in love with this. She said hers was made out of upholstery fabric, and although my upholstery fabric is different, you can see this one has like a large weave. That's what inspired me. And although I did learn how to make my own, I just kept coming back to this, looking at it on Etsy. It's just so pretty. I just had to have it. So inside here is an exciting new project, which is going to be a long-term project. But I have cast on for the Sweet Shop blanket. This is a pattern by Laura Penrose. She probably has a special name on Ravelry, and I can't think what it is. But she's Laura Penrose on, I think, YouTube, and also on Instagram for sure. So I just couldn't get this out of my head. I had to cast it on let's see, which one was my first one? This one I think was my first square. This is actually DK weight. This is DK weight, and this one is DK weight. But you can use fingering held double, which is what this one is. And I have cast on a very teeny tiny little green, and that is also fingering held double. My white color is also being held double. This has sparkle. I don't know that you can actually see that, but I really like to have undyed yarn in my stash because I find it so versatile to incorporate with other skeins and to make larger projects. So when, I think it was Dyer Supplier was going out of business, first of all, I supported them before they went out of business and really enjoyed some of their yarns. But I had kept checking back to get more of the undyed yarn, and they were just constantly out of stock. Unbeknownst to me at that time, it's because they were going out of business. And when they announced their going out of business sale, they had a bunch of this sparkle for a really discounted price. So I bought that thinking the sparkle wouldn't bother me. I could still use this in my other projects, but I don't know. I don't know if that's just the amount of sparkle, or maybe I'm not as much of a sparkle lover, but I'm not as drawn to this as I would be just a regular undyed yarn. So I really can't see me using this in a sweater or anything like that. I mean, I could, but it just wasn't calling me. So I had a lot of it, and I'm like, what am I going to do with all of this undyed sparkly yarn? But in this, I really like it, and I don't think it's too noticeable. And I guess in a blanket, it just doesn't bother me. This yarn here, I don't have the extras, but it is a Knit Picks Chroma Fingering, which they don't make anymore. But I went from just my little leftover that I had from the inside and outside, and the resulting fabric that it made is just so pretty. That's my favorite square. I just love the marling, whereas, you know, this DK weight, you don't get that. And this one is all just a single solid color, so you won't experience the marling there either. The one thing that I wish I would have done differently about this project is I assumed that DK weight and fingering held double would weigh approximately the same amount. So had I done this from the get-go, my first square would have been the fingering weight held double, because Laura says in her pattern and also in the videos that she's done that this would be a great project for advents. So if you had a 20-gram advent skein, you should be able to get 2 squares out of each color. But because I use DK weight, I went to the suggested stitches in the pattern. It was only like 8 point something grams, and I thought that'll be just great. But this Knit Picks Chroma Fingering, which is a lighter weight fingering, holding that double it took over 10. I can't remember the exact amount, 11 point something, maybe 12 at the most. So if I hold advent skeins, a 20-gram advent mini, double, I can get 1 square, and then I should be able to marl it with another leftover, what's left. And so I should be able to get technically 3 squares out of 2 colors. Yes, math. Math comes up in like every single one of my episodes, which is funny to me because, you know, we talk about not using math in our daily life, and I guess I use it more than I think I do. So anyway, I really, really love this. I can't wait to keep adding to it. The pattern has 4 different types of squares, so I just had to get the 4 done so I could make sure that I was able to do them all. And then I got back to work on my Attune shawl. So I haven't worked on it since then, but I would really like to. So that is that project. Let's see, what size needles am I using? These are 4mm, which I believe is what the pattern calls for. All right. I have one more work in progress to talk to you about, and it is a big one. So I was talking about wanting to finish some old whips, and I actually have made some progress on that. If you'll remember, I did finish the Neptunes Garden. That was an old whip, and when I finished that, I got another one out of my large pile. This is huge. I'm going to try not to have it fall off the stitches. Oh my goodness. Fall off the stitches, fall off the needles. You can't even see it all. Like it's huge. So this might look familiar. This is, I'm showing you the wrong side. This is a 50/50 triangles wrap, except I was making this to be a baby blanket for someone that was expecting a baby who's over a year old now. So it's no longer a blanket for that baby. This is the right side. But it is a baby blanket that will be for a baby at some point. So if you are not familiar with this pattern, I'd be shocked. But you knit one side first, one triangle. This is like impossible to show. I cast on too many stitches. This is all DK weight yarn. There's the first half, kind of. And now we're working on the green. So I have this much more to go. I did know how many rows it was. Let's see, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 55. So I think I have 55, which is really 110 rows to go. So on this half, they start getting longer the more you go. On the first half, they get shorter. I am doing the Leslie Friend modification, which is to have an I-cord on the end. And what else to say about this? Oh, I did cast on 250 stitches DK weight on size 4.5mm needles. And if I were going to do this again for a baby, I would do like 200 probably. I'm going to see if I can show you the size. Like, it's crazy. I mean, there I am compared. It doesn't even fit in the screen. I'm as far back as I can go. I would guess one side, well, that side isn't even finished. Let's see, this side. I mean, it's like my wingspan or close to it. And I am 5'10", so my wingspan is roughly that, almost 6 feet. So this should be like, probably after blocking, it should probably be 6 by 6 or so. That's kind of crazy. So anyway, I would like to get that finished. Once I finish my DVD socks, hopefully I will get a few more rows put in there. Ollie's back. Oh, I have one more work in progress to show you. I just noticed it sitting here beside me and I completely forgot. Probably because I just cast it on this morning. But I do want to show you what it is housed in. Do you see this? This is a Kohi Co Bag. And I think I first saw this bag, this color and everything on Love and Stitches. Oh my gosh, what's her name? I'm blinking. You all know it. You're screaming it at me, I'm sure. But I do watch her podcast sometimes, not all the time. But what was she making? She was making something pink. She loves pink. I love pink. And I saw this and I kept going back to Kohi and Co's page to see if these were ever in stock. They never were. They happen to have them at a local-ish yarn store to me, which is, I'm blanking on all the names. I can tell you what city it's in. It's in Forest Grove. I'll put it on the screen because I cannot remember the name. It's not coming to me. Anyway, it's okay. They had them in stock, and they'd had them in stock for a while. I'm embarrassed to even tell you how much this costs, but it's a lot. It was a lot for me, but it was my birthday in August, and I thought I will splurge for this. And then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, no, I'm not gonna buy it. I like it, but it's just, I don't need it. Well, then Glenn surprised me for my birthday, and he was able to get it at the shop in Forest Grove because he actually listened to what I was saying about how they had them in stock and that this was the color I wanted. So he did real good, real good. I love this thing. It's going to last forever. I think, with the lifespan of this bag, it is worth the money, but quite the investment. I was very, very happy that he got it for me. So the project that's in here is black, lots and lots of black. It's a very tiny start to a Musselburgh hat. Musselburgh. How many times have you heard me say that wrong? Every time. I have a Drops Kid Silk Haze in black and a Drops Flora also in black. The Flora is alpaca and wool. It's 65% wool, 35% alpaca. I have never used this yarn before. I've actually never used their Mohair either. But I wanted something that was cost effective. Because when we're talking about black, it's just black. I mean, it's not tonal, it's not speckled, it's not striped, it's just a solid color. And this is going to be for a work hat for me. So I think I have my gauge figured out. If you're not familiar with the Musselburgh pattern, you knit increases to a certain size. And once you can tell what your gauge is per inch, then you keep increasing till a certain amount of stitches, and then you just knit a very long tube. Eventually you decrease. So I always knit the adult medium, and I think I'm getting 7 stitches per inch. Sometimes I measure and I get like 6 or 6.5, and sometimes I get 7. So as long as I'm getting 7 or less, because my normal stitch gauge on this on 3.25 millimeter needles, which is fingering weight, is 7. So I'm thinking 7 or less. It might be a little bit roomier. I knit the medium, but I knit it to like the extra large length. So with this one, I'm probably going to knit it even longer because, as I said, it's for work. I need to fit my bun in there, and I really need it to have a very large brim to completely cover my ears because cold wind really hurts. I do have to work outside in the elements, and it's already getting quite cold at night. So I need to get this done. If you remember right from last year, I knit a sock head cowl in black cashmere yarn, fingering weight with a black mohair. So that was my inspiration with this. I'm using the exact same needles. I really love that cowl. As silly as it might sound, that cowl is absolutely the best thing I have ever knit in my life. Black yarn aside, difficult to see the stitches, 1,000,000% worth it. I wish I had it here, but it's at work. The way I end up wearing it is, if you're not familiar with the pattern, it has ribbing on one end and then just a long portion of stockinette and then ribbing on the other end. And it's just a big long tube. So I actually tuck the wrong sides together, very much like a Musselburgh hat, except for the fact that it doesn't have the closed portion. And so the ribbing matches with the ribbing and the stockinette. And so then it just fits right here perfectly. And it's just wonderful. Absolutely fantastic. I do have a hand knit hat that I made myself years ago. It's out of the worsted weight Cascade 220. I don't know if it's the superwash or non-superwash, but I made it using like a blueberry waffle pattern from the socks. I just adapted into a hat pattern. And it's been good, but this last year I noticed that either my hair has gotten bigger or it maybe has shrunk up over time, but it kind of like pulls up. It's not really covering my ears all the way. And then being a worsted weight, I just feel like the wind kind of comes in more than I would like it to. And that's one thing that I found with the Mohair for wind stoppage. Like, it's fantastic. So I'm super excited to have this. I kind of have the thought process that I would like to knit some people at work some black hats. I would not be using Flora because that's not a superwash yarn, but probably just a really basic black sock yarn. No mohair. Make it nice and washable for people who don't know how to wash wool hand knit items. That's a lot of knitting and a lot of black yarn. So I haven't committed to that yet. I haven't made a purchase, but I did see where I got this from, which was Wool Warehouse. They are having a sale on their Drops Fable, which is their sock yarn. I think it's a $75.25, and it's something like $2 for a 50-gram ball. So roughly $4 for a hat, which is amazing. Now that doesn't include shipping, but my shipping for that was very reasonable. I can't remember what it was. Actually, I think my receipt is in here. Oh, I didn't tell you. I ordered 3 balls of the mohair and 3 balls of the fingering weight because, as I said, I'm going to do it to even longer than the extra large length. I might use all the yarn if I'm being honest. Let's see, what was shipping? Of course, it's in, I don't even know what it's called. What's UK money called? It's got the little L sign. I know I've heard it, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. So this is in that money. I know when I purchased it online, it converted it and it told me how much it was, but in total, including the shipping, this yarn was $21.07 in UK money. So it was like less than $30 US. Shipping was $4.99. So not bad. And it got here relatively fast too. So that's nice. And my cowl that I made, I spent quite a bit on that. I think it's like $60 in yarn, and it's cashmere and it's like expensive mohair and it's wonderful, but I think that is going to be just as practical and warm. So very excited about that. All right, let's talk a little bit about life stuff. I feel like this is getting long. I'm a little bit rambly today, and maybe that's because I'm awake when normal people are supposed to be awake. So I have worked my final night shift for a bit. I'm very happy about that. I feel like my whole life has been just on pause for the whole summer, and that really kind of sucks. So what day was my last shift? Thursday morning, I got off my last graveyard shift. I had yesterday, Thursday, and today, Friday, to flip my schedule back around to a day shift. And then tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, I start working day shift. I would say my hours are going to be a normal-ish person, but not completely normal, because my alarm will go off at 3:45 in the morning to leave the house by 4:45 in the morning. And that's crazy, just crazy. But on night shift, my alarm went off at 3:30 p.m. So slightly more normal. I'm already feeling, I think, a little bit better. I had to go get my oil changed in my car this morning. That stuff's expensive. And now I came to the realization I'm going to have to get tires fairly soon, and that's expensive. And life is just expensive. What else? I know I had something else I was going to say. It's more than just work. Well, I had my birthday. I had a very nice, relaxing birthday. I was off for about a week from work, so that was great. I got the first layer of tattoo for my cover up that I'm getting on my leg, and I will insert a picture of that on the screen. It's a Lilly. I literally walked into the shop. I'd already made the appointment. I told the guy that I wanted to cover up. He knew what he was covering up, and all I told him was that I wanted floral. So I didn't know what it was going to look like. He literally was still drawing it when I walked in the day of my appointment, and I knew that I couldn't be very picky about style, design, all that. Like, leave it up to the expert. He knows what he's doing. And so, as you can see, I have one very large lily on my leg. And it was really funny. Glenn came with me. If you're new here, Glenn is my husband. And I didn't know how much he was going to get done. I didn't think he would even get to the color during the first session, because I think he mentioned something like that. He didn't think he was going to get to the color. So at one point, Glenn's like, oh, it's like pinky red, and he's colorblind, so I can't see the back of my calf as I'm laying on my stomach and the guy's tattooing me. So I'm just kind of like waiting to see what it looks like. And when I could actually sneak a peek, I saw, sure enough, he's right. It is a pinky red. So luckily that is a good color for me. I like that. And I was very surprised because, as I said, like, we didn't discuss color, anything. So you can see on there that some of the old tattoos still peeking through. The tattoo artist estimates it's going to probably take 3 sessions to completely cover it. And it's going to have more colors than what you see there. He mentioned that he's going to be adding some orange into the flower and some teal in with that blue that you see in the background. And as a real lily has, they have like these dark spots on the petals. And so I think where you can see probably a lot of that black coming in there, he's going to shade it with a darker color there. So I'm excited to see how that's going to turn out. I'm actually very happy with it now. Not saying that it wouldn't, but if it didn't get any better than it is right now, I am still happier than with what I had on there before. So that is progress and improvement, and I'm very happy with that. What was less exciting, and I don't know that it had anything to do with the tattoo, but 4 days after the tattoo, I had been standing and doing some drop spinning, and I noticed like my ankle felt really tight, and it was like right at the back of the ankle. I think it's your Achilles tendon. And I just remember making a mental note to myself, oh, I need to remember to stretch that. But I couldn't figure out why it was feeling tight. The other one didn't feel tight, and it's not normally something that feels that way. But I was wearing long pants, and I didn't look down at my leg. Glenn gets home later in the day, and I look down. I'm showing him, like, my leg feels weird. It feels tight. And my foot and my ankle and I guess the lower portion of my leg had swelled so massively. I have never had swelling like that in my life. And it was so bad, I had Glenn take me to urgent care. I was actually really scared. It wasn't painful per se, it just felt really tight. So we went to urgent care. They just said swelling. They mentioned maybe compression socks and elevating my leg and applying heat. So I did that for like 2 days, and finally the swelling went down enough. I was worried I wasn't going to be able to go back to work, because as swollen as it was when I went to urgent care, there's no way that would fit in my work boots. Not a chance. But the swelling went down. I was able to go to work, and I've still been having some swelling just on that one side. It's just really weird. So I did buy some compression socks, and I'm hoping that that's going to go away. Like I said, I don't know that it's related to the tattoo, but it does happen to be on the same side as that. But the fact that I had a tattoo there before, and I've never experienced that kind of swelling, it just seems very weird. I think I turned 44 and my body's like, okay, we're going to have some issues now. I don't know. I'm not liking it. I'm just hoping it doesn't come back, or once it goes away completely, it doesn't come back. So that's that. Getting old is an experience, but it beats the alternative, as they say. I think that's about it for life stuff. I did get some birthday acquisitions for yarn, but I'm going to be covering that in the State of the Stash, which I'm going to be recording right after that. So if you are interested in hearing about the state of my stash, check out that video. This one will go up before that, so State of the Stash will probably be posted in a few days. Keep a lookout for that. Which is a good reminder. If you're not subscribed, you don't have notifications, it's a good time to do that because then you will see when State of the Stash goes live. All right, I think that's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today and hearing about my whips, my finished objects, and what I've been working on. I would love to hear about what you've been working on. Please leave that in the comments or any questions that you have. I will talk to you soon. Bye.